to go where Kevin Keegan arrived for his second coming in '92. He'd spent 8 years away from football, living in Spain, playing golf, before he got that call from Sir John Hall. The story goes that Keegan drove up through the Tyne Tunnel, looked at the city and said he couldn't say no to a region where football isn't just a sport but oxygen. Here come Liverpool driving forward. Gravenberch on the edge of the penalty area finds Florian Wirtz, took it on. Lewis Hall was in the way. It's Frimpong getting forward from right back, trying to win it back in the Newcastle defensive third. Jacquet just upended, knocked off balance by William Osula. Jeremy Jacquet, one of the summer signings, on target for Liverpool in their final pre-season game. A 2-0 win over Como. Had 45 minutes of that one. Came off at half-time, but Andoni Iraola saw enough in him to hand him the start on his English top-flight debut, and that's a nice little pirouette away from some pressure there to find Szoboszlai. Bounces up away from Lewis Hall. There's Rio Ungamoa, still wearing the number 73 shirt as he did last season. And that's an awkward challenge from Ryan Gravenberch on Johan Wieser on halfway. Takes it quickly, finds Malik Chow. In fact, it was too quick for the referee, and they're going to put it back again. Not just a big day for the likes of Sean Steuer, Jeremy Jacquet, for Matthias Jaissel. Eddie Howe departed this summer in the middle of pre-season. The club hierarchy wanted to keep him on for longer, but he decided that he could take this team no further, and you can understand why he wanted to move on as well. Such big departures. Tonali for all of £100 million. Anthony Gordon, who's moved to Barcelona. Bruno Guimaraes now with the Premier League the top flight champions Arsenal. Here's Jacquet, right hand side of the centre circle. Ungamoa tries to go around the outside of Hall, who stays with him. Ungamoa turns back, finds Jeremy Frimpong. That's inside to Jacquet. Jacquet for Gravenberch. Frimpong, Gravenberch, nice turn to get away from Lewis Miley. Gravenberch across the face of the penalty area between three Liverpool bodies, and now Newcastle United will launch the counter-attack, be led forward by Osula, start driving through the middle of the pitch, and here on the outside, an opportunity for Newcastle, and they've taken the lead. It's Anthony Elanga, tucks it into the bottom corner, 4 minutes gone, Newcastle score the first goal of the game. All came from a misplaced pass on the edge of the penalty area. Three new Liverpool bodies all hesitated. A raise of the eyebrow from Anthony Elanga, who used that electric pace to race away from the recovering Liverpool back line and put the Magpies in front. It was Gravenberch with a driving run to the edge of the penalty area initially. Sliding in went Dedic, and William Osula carries it through the heart of the centre circle. It looked like Milos Kerkez was treading water, stuck in treacle as Elanga just accelerated past him. That's the rockets he's got in his boot. The former Manchester United man drives a stake through the heart of Liverpool. Just 4 minutes into their top flight opener. And my word, Matthias Jaissel enjoyed that. A bellow as he turns to the stand behind him and watches a sea of black and white stripes erupt and undulate in these famous stands. Newcastle with a brilliant start. Jaissel couldn't have asked for more. Maybe a question mark over Alisson's positioning. Slightly closer to that near post. Opened up the space to fire it across goal by Anthony Elanga, and he did ever so well to find the bottom corner. There's always goals in these games. As we mentioned, the last time these two played out a goalless draw in the league was back in 1974. They are wrapped in each other across the eons. 34 men have crossed this divide and worn both shirts throughout history. Think back to 74 and that cup final. Keegan scoring twice for Bill Shankly's Reds at Wembley, but on the losing Newcastle side that day were Terry McDermott and Alan Kennedy. Both of them, of course, ended up moving to Anfield and scoring in European Cup finals. You had Beardsley, Barnes, Hamann, and even the likes of Gigi Wijnaldum and James Milner. Here's Florian Wirtz down the outside. It's Frimpong. The low cross behind Alexander Isak. And there is Anthony Elanga doing the defensive work on the edge of the penalty area. Clearance only as far as Xhaka, just inside the Newcastle half of the pitch. Wirtz looks to squeeze that one through to Alexander Isak. Sven Botman it is that gets in the way. Relatively young back line. No one over the age of 30 in the four in front of Lucas Hornacek. No one over the age of 30 in the entire Newcastle United starting lineup. Harvey Barnes has been penalised for just trying to jump over Florian Wirtz, who waited for the contact, stood his ground, took an elbow to the face in the process, and Liverpool have the free kick, which they've taken quickly. Or have they? No. Not going to be allowed to. It's Dominic Szoboszlai who stands over this, 30 yards from goal, level with the right edge of the penalty area, and Gamoa just down the touchline in front of him. Plenty of options in the penalty area though. Here is Szoboszlai with a high ball towards the back post. Arriving was Virgil van Dijk. Wants a corner, will get the decision from the referee. Strong play from Sven Botman. Just gets his head on it. Gets in the way of Virgil van Dijk's header. Corner kick to come in from the far side. Szoboszlai again on set-piece duties. The in-swinger curls towards the penalty spot. Powered away by Lewis Hall. Kept moving by Florian Wirtz just outside the centre circle. Now Milos Kerkez down the line for countryman Szoboszlai. Tosses one into the penalty area. Less than convincing clearance by Botman. It dropped there for a moment to Cody Gakpo, who had bodies in his way. Malik Chow with the important block. And they forced them wide again, Newcastle. It's going to be a throw-in that goes the Magpies' way. Well, this game has a real tradition. Turn your attention back to 1996. Whenever Newcastle and Liverpool meet, memory instantly drifts back to the 3rd of April at Anfield. Widely celebrated as the greatest top-flight match ever staged. Kevin Keegan's Newcastle had led the table by 12 points before Manchester United mounted a relentless chase, turning that Wednesday night into a title race war. The scenes of Kevin Keegan pre-match have been etched into folklore, has become a bit of a meme. He said, "I would love it if we beat them." Liverpool tore through Newcastle in the opening half, storming into a commanding 3-0 lead. Strikes from McManaman, Berger and Fowler, but the Magpies responded in breathtaking second half onslaught. 3 goals inside 17 frantic minutes thanks to Keith Gillespie, Peter Beardsley and Faustino Alspria to level at 3-3. Just as a dramatic point seemed secure, Sik Inge Bjornabay lofted a 90th minute cross for Robbie Fowler to nod home the winner, sealing a second successive 4-3 classic. It was Collymore in the game at Anfield who set the game alight. That 68th minute equaliser set up an unforgettable 92nd minute climax. Barnes and Rush combining to release Collymore. Sidnicek at the cop end. That famous commentary line, Collymore closing in. 2 games, 2 identical scorelines. There's sometimes the lines are blurred between them. Quite remarkable. A season apart, but Anfield the stage for such drama as it so often is. Here's Lewis Hall trying to Get on the end of this pass down the left-hand side, tracked by Ngumoa. Hall holding the ball up, looking for a bit of support. He's tucked one in field. It's Harvey Barnes, tries to use the outside of his right boot, laid off to Weiser on the edge of the penalty area. Now here's Hall again. Two around him, one of them young Ngumoa, the other Dominic Szoboszlai. All the way back to Hornicek. Hammered away by Chow. Looking for Rasula, and Alisson came a long way. The header was straight to Weiser, who tried to take it on first time. Instead it's going to skew off the outside of his left boot and had to play for a throw-in. Not sure he needs to do that, Alisson. Two defenders who had a handle on the situation. It might have dropped to William Asula, but both Jeremy Jacquet and Virgil van Dijk were there in attendance. Jacquet. Isak. Gravenberg. Gakpo. Kerkez. Gravenberg again. And that's back to Virgil van Dijk. Ngumoa on the right-hand side. He won't catch up with it. If you are only just joining us, you've missed a cracking opening 13 minutes in this game. A game in which Newcastle lead by a goal to nil, courtesy of Anthony Elanga, set up by William Asula. The very epitome of a counter-attacking move from Newcastle United. You've joined us on a scintillating weekend of English top-flight football. A thumping victory earlier on today for Brighton and Hove Albion over 10-man Aston Villa. João Gomez sent off after 35 minutes. They were already 4-0 down at that point. Victor Lindelof own goal set Brighton on their way. Jacoipa then made it 2. Then a Hinchelwood double sent them into half-time, 4 goals up and with a man advantage. Villa did well to hold them at bay in the second half, but it's a big victory for Brighton. And Manchester City survived a bit of a scare. Bournemouth led for quite a long time. Marcus Tavernier opened the scoring after 26 minutes. And it was a Guardiola double. Mark Gahey and then Josko Guardiola, I should say, in the last few minutes of the game to turn it around for Manchester City at the Etihad. The Eastlands in that half of Manchester. Relief. Sure, they were giving it, the locals call the big one, after Manchester United's 2-0 loss away on their travels against Hull on Saturday afternoon. Bragging rights decidedly in the blue half of the city to this afternoon's result. Here's Elanga. It's by Dedic. Chow just on the edge of the centre circle in Newcastle's half of the pitch. Right to Lewis Hall down the left. Iraola trying to coach Ngumoa through the game. He's having to do a lot of defending, Rio Ngumoa. Hornicek for Chow. To Dedic. Bosnia and Herzegovina international, was part of the squad that travelled to the United States, Mexico and Canada. 24 years old, did catch the eye in the international tournament in the summer. Here's Rio Ngumoa. Frimpong to Ngamo. He's in a more central position at the moment, wide. Now to Alexander Isak. Frimpong. Szoboszlai. Held at bay for the moment by Lewis Miley. Left-hand side is Wirtz. Langer close to him. That's back down the far touchline to Dominik Szoboszlai. Apologies. Here's Ngamo. And up towards the back post. This is over both Dedic and Isak. Here he is, Alexander Isak on the left-hand side. Back by Isak. Kerkez gets the ball out of his feet, low in towards the 6-yard line. There's Wirtz! Brilliant save by Hornacek. Deflection in front of him made it all that more difficult for the Czech international. Zhao's clearance less than convincing, bounced into the feet of Florian Wirtz. Aim for the bottom corner, and it's kept out brilliantly by Lukas Hornacek. In it comes from Szoboszlai from the corner. Virgil van Dijk flung himself at it. Kerkez goes for goal. That's over the crossbar. What a way to announce his arrival. 6'6", Lukas Hornacek. What a brilliant save. That ball just bouncing in front of him as well. Goalkeepers don't get as much credit as they probably should, especially when the ball skips off the turf. It can be so difficult to judge. Spinning the ball can skip it, lift it higher than you're expecting or lower than you're expecting. He's done really well. It's off the thumb and behind from Hornacek in that occasion. And Newcastle have the ball again in midfield with Sean Stuart, the 18-year-old Dutchman. There's been frustration around these parts recently. The deep pockets of the owners are well documented, but what probably gets a bit less attention is the financial constraints applied by the league and the governing bodies, which really do prevent Newcastle from dipping into those deep pockets and spending to bring big-name, high-quality players to the club. It's been a hot topic over the last few weeks during the summer, not just for Newcastle United, but plenty of teams in the Premier League. That's a good challenge by Sean Stoyer on the edge of the penalty area, and Langer takes a blow from Milos Kerkez to a Newcastle United, the free kick on the edge of the penalty area. Alisson Becker's quest to reach 138 clean sheets will have to wait another day. He wants to move into outright fourth place. There's only three legendary figures: Reina on 177, Grobbelaar on 267, excuse me, and Ray Clements is way out in front with an astonishing 323 shutouts across his glittering Anfield career. There have been some dissenting voices about Alisson's continued inclusion as the first choice goalkeeper. There's a man on the bench who is putting a bit of pressure on Georgi Mamardashvili, with 8 years his junior. And when asked to do so last season during the injury period that kept Alisson off the pitch, very well. Incidentally, the rest of that Liverpool bench features Konstantinos Tsimikas, Araujo, the summer recruit. We'll get back to that as Kerkez bursts to the byline, tries to pull it back. He was looking for Isak. It's not a tidy piece of goalkeeping from Hornacek. We also have Wataru Endo, Alexis McAllister, Trainioni, James McConnell on the bench, Victor Munoz and Lewis Kumas round off that bench. A lot of young players in those ranks today. We are without Joe Gomez and Hugo Ekitike, who is sidelined since April. He ruptured his Achilles tendon. Last season in Europe against Paris Saint-Germain. A long road back for Hugo Ekitike. Instantly no place in the matchday squad for the likes of Conor Bradley, Giovanni Leone, Calvin Ramsey, Federico Chiesa, Vladislav Jaros, Harvey Elliott, Stefan Bajcetic. On the right hand side is Stoya. And that's up and off of Dominik Szoboszlai for a throw in. No, goal kick. Excuse me, a corner. The referee knows what he's doing, even if I don't in the commentary box. Stuart looks lively in the opening taste of Premier League football. As does Dedic, whose cross it was that was brought behind by Szoboszlai. Corner kick from that far side. Looks like it'll be taken by Barnes, is it? On that far side, it's Hall to the edge of the 6-yard box. Powerful header away by Gakpo. Shot for Miley. Now here is Barnes on the left-hand side, trying to shove off Frimpong. Back to Dedic, who gives it away. Ball hazardly fed forward by Jeremy Frimpong right into the centre circle, and Newcastle have it back. This is Sven Botman. Hall. Botman again. On the line looking for Barnes. He's possessed by Frimpong. Isak. Hall sliding in. Wins the ball fairly. Isak's taken a blow to the outside of his left ankle in the process, though. Stuart Atwell had a look. As Newcastle United to continue. Here's Wieser. Tries to spin away from Gravenberch. Looks to feed it through to William Masula. Got there in front of Jeremy Jacquet. He stayed down as William Masula. Toe poked it towards goal. Alisson was in the way. It's a lovely little spin from Johan Wieser. Just goes around the blind side of Jeremy Jacquet. It's a lovely pass from Wieser. Exquisite bit of play from Johan Wieser. Liverpool being rocked a little here. It's Frimpong. Forward to Isak, laid off to Szoboszlai. Pulled back by Johan Wieser. Just outside the penalty area, and the first yellow card of the game goes to the Democratic Republic of Congo forward. It's a soft challenge, soft foul. It's enough for Stuart Atwell to blow the whistle. It's a free kick that'll be taken by Dominik Szoboszlai. Let's turn this into a sort of position. It's the one goal in pre-season back in July in a 4-2 win over Sunderland. It's a sizable wall, 4 in it, Botman included, as is Chow and Asula. Looks like Szoboszlai will take this on. Szoboszlai. It's off the wall. Not the result he was looking for, but he's kept the ball in on the right-hand side. Szoboszlai looking for Rio Ungamoa. Laid off to Hall. Hall forward. Here's William Asula ranging forward. A blur of gangly legs and arms, and he's still holding off the Liverpool defenders. Needs a bit of support. Will lay this off to Anthony Elanga. Wide it goes to Harvey Barnes in the left-hand side position. Across comes Szoboszlai, plays against the shins of Barnes, and that will be a Liverpool throw-in. He's puffing here, William Masula. Doesn't look hugely comfortable. Here comes Gravenberch. Wirtz on the half-turn. Wirtz to his left for Gakpo. Gakpo edge of the box. That's against Thiaw. As he shot from range. Back to Wirtz. Wirtz wide to Kyrkes. Kyrkes to Gakpo. Frimpong. Dispossessed. It's back with Virgil van Dijk on the halfway line. Gravenberch. Right-hand side, another clearance drops to Virgil van Dijk. It's on the Liverpool left, inside to Xhaka. Xhaka approaching the edge of the penalty area, finds Szoboszlai 6 yards to his right. Wide it goes again. Here's Rio Ngumoa, closed down by Lewis Hall. Ngumoa towards the edge of the penalty area, prodded away by Botman. Miley sandwiched between Isak and Rio Ngumoa. And that will be a free kick for Newcastle United. A really good start. Both of these two sides. Nick Voltemada is warming up on the touchline. Newcastle just a little concerned about the fitness of William Masula, it seems. Check with the ball in his hands. Nothing to do with that there. Captain today, Newcastle United. Dan Burn has taken over the captain's armband. It's the ultimate fairy tale for the Blythe-born defender. He was released from Newcastle's academy as an 11-year-old, fought his way through the non-league and lower tiers at Darlington, Yeovil, Wigan. Established himself in the top flight as an ardent Newcastle supporter, stood on the Gallagher terraces as a boy. Now commands the dressing room following the departure of Bruno Guimaraes. Former defender John Anderson labelled his appointment as a complete no-brainer. He's become a bit of a cult hero as well. His performances for England this summer. As Milos Kerkez has shown a yellow card. Here's Harvey Barnes trying to drive away through the middle. Was caught there by Jeremy Frimpong, who insisted he got the ball. Frimpong shown a yellow. Virgil van Dijk pleads his case. And there was a pull initially from Frimpong on Barnes, who had a hold of Frimpong's shorts. It was clumsy from Jeremy Frimpong, and he got caught the wrong side. And this will be a free kick from a dangerous looking position for Newcastle United. They have 5 standing over it at the moment. Elanga, Wisa, Hall. Martedic is there as well. William Masula is the man putting it down with purpose, though. Listen, organising his wall to the very millimetre. Could be Hall. Could be Osula. 30 yards from goal, slightly right of centre. Osula with his right or Hall with his left. It looks William Osula who takes it on, and like Szoboszlai before him, strikes the wall. It's a second bite at it, this time takes it on left-footed. And that one takes a touch off a Liverpool defender. Another play for a corner kick. Osula still limping. Nick Vultemada's warm-ups have just kicked on another gear. Maybe a set piece from the far side. Lewis Hall. So whip it in left-footed towards the near post. It was aimed at Botman. Van Dijk rose with him and got the ball away back out to Hall on the right-hand side. Florian Wirtz pokes it away from Lewis Hall. Anthony Elanga a little bit lightweight with the challenge, and now they'll start to try and streak away with Alexander Isak. Frimpong now going for the low ball, trying to slip it through a sea of Newcastle legs. And quite simple in the end for Lewis Miley to get in the way. Release Wisa, and now in the middle of the pitch is Harvey Barnes. Botman. Stoy. Chow, who didn't have his head up, and that one bypasses him and had to play for a throw-in for Liverpool. 6 yards away from the corner flag. Quickly in by Kerkez, back to Florian Wirtz. And that's a goal kick. Florian Wirtz makes clear there's confusion with the referee's decision. So it's Elanga who got back. And forced the touch back off Florian Wirtz. Hornicek to Stoya. Hall dispossessed on this near side by Ngumoa. Evan Burt goes down. Strong challenge from Lewis Smiley. He's going to receive a yellow card. Stuart Atwell dishing them out like sweeties here. Well, Rio Ngumoa, the name that anyone will remember. She scored here last season, almost a year ago to the day. A late winner for Liverpool. Seen by Szoboszlai. Kerkez left-hand side, clearance from Botman. Now Wisa plays it against the shins of Milos Kerkez, and he enjoyed that, Johan Wisa. It looks very sharp. The former Brentford man. By Denic. Stoya forward. Elanga goes down. Wisa latches onto the ball on the edge of the centre circle. That's a tangle of legs with Dominik Szoboszlai. And a free kick for Newcastle United again. Barnes, left-hand side, backwards. Botman, touch with his left, step away with his left, looking forward for options. Osula peels away to the left-hand side with that diagonal run, and Virgil van Dijk is too strong for him. Osula goes hobbling away from that one as well. In a way, Newcastle are playing with 10. Xhaka. Szoboszlai just alongside him. Xhaka again. Rio Ngumoa to go down the outside. Little flick off a player of Lewis Hall on this near side, and well, that was into the gloves of Lukas Hornicek. It's punted away by Chow. Sula is across there. He's gamely trying to soldier on. Every little step he seems to grimace. Dedic, Miley, awkward for Asula. Finds Lewis Hall. Hall down the left-hand side for Lewis Miley. Miley for Barnes. Has he beaten Frimpong to it? He hasn't. And a little Chandelier play for a Liverpool goal kick. The only question for Newcastle United now is, when do they take off William Asula? Will he make it to half-time? I'm not so sure. Liverpool on the front foot. Here comes Kerkez. Gravenberch waiting for it in the edge of the penalty area. So was Szoboszlai. It was Lewis Miley who nodded it away on the edge of the box. Kept moving by Gravenberch. Szoboszlai. Frimpong. White, Rio and Gumoa. Played back to Frimpong. Frimpong into the box, all the way across, and taking no chances there. Amar Dedic. Side foot, that's beyond the byline for a corner kick to Liverpool. Pretty even in terms of possession, 54% to Newcastle United's 46 for Liverpool. Which is the third corner of the game. Towards the near post, flicked on by Gakpo. And it's off Chow and over the bar. That's Sean Stoyert. It's Chow and then Botman. Szoboszlai, that's a little bit more decisive at the near post. Check. Ball resting on his right hand. Is it clear? Looking for Sula. There's Visa for Elanga. Frimpong gets there first. Back to Anthony Elanga on this left-hand side. Miley. Hall. Should have a play by Dominic Szoboszlai. Takes the throw in. Verts. Left in the general vicinity of Alexander Isak. Chow with the clearance. Verts. Gravenberch. Jacquet. Wandering forward on the edge of the centre circle. Szoboszlai. Pass won't reach. Gakpo. Gravenberch. It was a non-committal sort of clearance from Malik Chow. Gravenberch's effort bounced wide, and then he's going to be called offside as Gakpo rather is called offside as he tries to keep that from going out of play on the far side. Just the final 5 minutes of this first half. Not sure we'll see too much added time at the end of this. Corner check. The England boss is in attendance. Thomas Tuchel. From the stands. From Hornacek, looking for Asula. Put away by Szoboszlai, not too far. Stewart. By Botman. Wirtz. Down by Stoyer. On that far side, and arrived the throw in. To Stoyer. To Dedic. Chow. Hornicek. And Botman. Back to Hornicek. Barnes. It's owned by Frimpong. It's a foul by Visser on Ryan Gravenberg. It's already received the yellow card, avoids a second there. A harsh decision from the referee, Stuart Atwell. Timely reminder that mistaken second yellows can be reviewed by VAR this season. It's a new development. That couldn't be done in previous years. They've just tweaked the rules to allow the video assistant referee to have a look. If a player is dismissed for a second yellow card, they can spare them that if they think it's probably too harsh a decision. Gakpo shoulder to shoulder with Langer, or at least that's what he said. Stuart Atwell disagrees. Set piece for Newcastle in the centre circle. Taking their time over this free kick, Newcastle United. To be careful not to fall foul of Stuart Atwell. All of the officiating developments have been aimed at trying to keep the game moving a bit quicker. Let's see the referee start to count down from 5 on his hand. We've seen it across Europe, across the world actually. But, if that ball isn't played quickly, thrown in quickly, you can lose possession, including goal kicks and set pieces as well. Chow. Hornicek. Too high for Asula. And Dyke's header. That one's over the top of the Liverpool back line. Milos Kerkez has his hands full with Visser. Now here's a Langer. Pirouettes away from Gravenberg. Yeah, Dedic arriving on the right-hand side. Here's Visser again, who picks up the second ball. Visser low across the penalty area. Barnes not able to catch up with it. It's wide of the far post. There will be a goal kick for Liverpool. But he's been probably the best player of the game so far, Johan Visser. Sometimes when you're in form, the ball just finds you rather than you having to chase it. So it worked just then. Tough season last year. Johan Visser. Just 3 goals in all competitions for Newcastle United. So, significantly more prolific during his time at Brentford. You remind back to 24-25 season, he scored 19 league goals. And one in the League Cup as well. 20-goal season for the DR Congo International. That's what caught Newcastle United's attention. He's been on form in pre-season with 2 goals. Both of them against Valencia at the start of August. The plan today is to add to his solitary top-flight goal, that coming against Brighton and Hove Albion back at the start of May. We're into 1 minute of added time at the end of this first half. There seems to be a problem for Sven Botman here, the Newcastle defender. It was as Szoboszlai floated it in. It's a little bump in the back from Cody Gakpo. Botman's had real trouble with injury over the years. Kept out for a significant portion of last season. Broken kneecap through shin ligament injury back in 2024. He knows a lot about his career. He missed 137 games due to injury. That one looks just to be a little Saw one though from Gakpo, which he'll recover from. It's lifted away by Frimpong. Stewart Atwell happy to allow them continue. The pass from Isak won't find Rio Ingamo. A little check of the watch from the referee. Up blowing the whistle for half time. Lewis Hall is strolling casually across to take the throw in. And it's lofted down the touchline, and Stewart Atwell blows the whistle for half time. Newcastle United racing into the lead after just 5 minutes to Anthony Elanga. A counter attack as Liverpool gave it away on the edge of the Newcastle box. William Masula was driving through the heart of the St James's Park pitch and laying it off to Elanga, who speared it past Alisson across him into the bottom corner. Lucas Hornacek had to be at his best to deny the likes of Florian Wirtz. A couple of hairy moments for Newcastle defensively, but they're probably good value for their lead at the break. That assist from William Masula could well be the last of his involvement in the match this afternoon. He's been hobbling around throughout a large chunk of that first 45 period. They've got Nick Voltemade. He's been warming up vigorously for quite a long time. Will he come on in the second half? Well, that remains to be seen. At half-time, at St James's Park, it's Newcastle United 1, Liverpool 0. Welcome back. Newcastle-Liverpool making their way out of the tunnel at St James's Park for the start of this second half. The first 45 went Newcastle's way, courtesy of a goal scored 5 minutes into the game by Anthony Elanga, set up as William Osula broke free. Liverpool gave the ball away on the edge of the penalty area. Osula's been limping around. He's back out there, ready to start the second half. How long he can continue for remains a question. Lucas Hornacek has pulled off a very good save on his Newcastle United competitive debut after joining the club in the summer. Apart from that, it's been a little bit worrying from Andone Iraiola's perspective. For Matthias Jaisley, it's so good, so far so good for the German boss. Now back underway in Newcastle, and it's Liverpool already on the edge of the Newcastle United penalty area. Gravenberch slips it through to Gakpo, tries to use his right boot to work it into the 6-yard box. Across his Stuart, a teenager, to turn it behind for a corner kick. For Newcastle, it's Hornacek in goal. A back four of Dedic, one of the summer signings, joined by Chow, Botman and Lewis Hall. Stuart, Miley, Elanga and Visa, the midfield four. Barnes and Osula, a front two. Barnes slightly more withdrawn than William Osula. Dominic Szoboszlai will take this corner kick for Liverpool from the near side, in towards the near post, flicked on by Chow, towards that back post. Hornacek pushes it away. There were two there in Liverpool red. One of them's gone hobbling away. Looks like it's Jeremy Frimpong, and now Newcastle will burst away from their own penalty area. It's Harvey Barnes leading the counter-attack on the left-hand side of the goal scorer. Elanga drifts past Wirtz, tried to lay it off, and in the way was the retreating figure of Florian Wirtz, who escapes with it. A chance already in this second half, the first few minutes of it. From the corner, Chow with the flick on. Here comes Frimpong down the right hand side in towards the near post. That's away by Sven Botman. Flicked on by Chow from that corner. It almost dropped Jeremy Frimpong on the far side. Here's an angle on the edge of the penalty area. Neat feet to escape Frimpong. Miley. Back to Chow. Here comes Dedic. Dedic inside. Wieser, who's been in sparkling form so far this afternoon, tries to find William Osula, forced too wide of goal, and now it's Harvey Barnes slightly further back in the penalty area into the 6-yard line, away by Virgil van Dijk. Miley lifted over the crossbar into the Gallagher end. Well, a bright start from both of these two sides. Newcastle, you can see, relish playing on the counter-attack. Best chance, though, as we said, came to Liverpool following that corner. Almost got in each other's way. Isak and Jacquet it was, actually. And Alexander Isak's boot came down the Achilles of Jeremy Jacquet on the way down. He's still not moving particularly comfortably. A little bit of a hobble, but looks like the young Frenchman's going to be all right to continue. It's just that's away by Virgil van Dijk from the goal kick. That's a foul by Amar Dedic and Cody Gakpo. Well, Jeremy Jacquet was caught out of position at a recent counter-attack from Newcastle United. Johan Wieser tried to find William Osula. The pass was just ever so slightly overhit into Osula's feet, and he might have been able to get the shot away first time. Jacquet's clearance bounces off the Hall, throw in by Frimpong, back to Jeremy Jacquet. That's caught the eye in pre-season, as we've already mentioned. Pre-season and full-fledged competitive action in the English top flight are two entirely different kettles of fish. Here's Van Dijk to Alisson, and now Jacquet, who will walk forward with it. Gravenberch, base of the midfield. Wide now is Milos Kerkez, didn't have the best of first halves. Links up with Gakpo, back to Kerkez down the left-hand side, looking for a bit of space as he was being smothered by black and white shirts, who will get it away from him. And now Johan Wieser turns away down the right-hand side. Lovely touch to escape Gakpo's clutches. Gakpo wins it back. Wieser with his arms outstretched on his knees looks to Stuart Atwell, who allows Liverpool to play on. Made the right decision. Gakpo with a good challenge, almost from behind, but managed to prevent Wieser escaping on the right-hand side. Here's Ngamoa on that right flank for Liverpool. Held up by Hall. Szoboszlai. Virgil van Dijk looking to the left. Gakpo not able to retreat quick enough, and that will roll out a play for a Newcastle United throw. Gravenberch is hobbling. The Newcastle reporter's still not happy, and you can understand why, actually. He's gone through the left leg of Yohan Wissa to get to the ball, Gakpo, in that earlier challenge. It's Gravenberch. Defended by Yohan Wissa. He runs into a pitch side camera. So the referee's decision goes Newcastle United's way. Excuse me, Amar Dedic will take the throw in. Looking for someone down the line. Van Dijk is there for Liverpool. Now Szoboszlai on the edge of the centre circle. Slides it into Frimpong's path. Ungumoa looked to return it to him. Too much on the return ball from the teenager. Playing on the right hand side, he does prefer the left. That berth is being occupied at the moment by Cody Gakpo. And while he can be so electrifying, Rio Ungumoa, he's not had his best game in a Liverpool shirt this afternoon. You can say that about a few players in Liverpool red today. Milos Kerkez, Rio Ungumoa, Jeremy Jacquet. Had a rough start to life. There's a Sulis header. Flies out of play for a throw on the near side for Liverpool. Sulis still hobbling around. Matthias Eisler, I'm sure, was tempted to take him off at half-time. Had Nick Woltemade warming up at the break. The European under-21 champion finalist with Germany. Incidentally, it's the bench featuring Ewen Jaouan, the 20-year-old goalkeeper. 6'7", is quite a unit brought in the summer. Fabian Schär and Leo Shahar on the bench for Newcastle. This is Alaji Bamba, Joe Willett, Jacob Ramsey and Jacob Murphy. Nick Woltemade and Batsumana Touré pulled back to the edge of the box by Kerkez. Gakpo trying to find a bit of space, and that one's not too far away. And you've got to feel for the steward sat behind that goal, because it's pinged right off the back of his head. It was a curling effort, a wicked effort from Cody Gakpo. Swinging over the crossbar. That's going to be a sore one for that man in high vis behind the goal. He loves that sort of angle, Cody Gakpo. Just a little shift of body weight. Opened up the space for himself to take it on. Wrapped his right foot round it. Here's Sven Botman. It's the freedom of the left-hand side at the moment. Gives it straight to Dominik Szoboszlai. Halfway. It's gone back to Alisson. Van Dijk. Wiets. Held up by Stewart. Wiets. Between the lines is Cody Gakpo. Right-hand side, Frimpong is arriving. Low ball towards Isak, cut out by Chow. That's up towards halfway. Jacquet for Liverpool. Now with Dominik Szoboszlai. Gravenberch. Gakpo finds space between the lines again. Low drive! Brilliant finish! From 35 yards, Cody Gakpo levels things up. He's looked in the mood since the start of this second half. And my word, what a finish that is. Drills it low across the face of goal into the bottom corner. No one picked him up. Louis Smiley stepped away to close down Szoboszlai. Gakpo can turn, take 1-2 touches, and then fizzes one into the bottom corner. Newcastle had had their warning. This one, it's no warning. Skims across the surface. Nothing Hornacek can do about it this time. And Newcastle will ring the changes. Off goes William Asula and Sean Stoyer. And on comes Joe Willock, it seems. And Jacob Ramsey. Stoyer was nowhere to be seen during his compatriots' finish there. Here's Gakpo, left of centre. Wirtz, Gravenberg, Szoboszlai, Frimpong. Here comes Ngumoa, a little step over as he was met by Murphy. Frimpong again, edge of the box. Ngumoa scored from a similar position last season. Bounces off Chiao and Spotman. Haven't cleared the danger, Newcastle. Gakpo tried to spin on it. They're getting it away now. Here's Van Dijk on the halfway line. Frimpong. Wirtz forced wide, followed by Miley. Wirtz backwards. Ngumoa. Will he have another pop? Finds Isak. Toe pokes it backwards. Gravenberg. Habit against Xiao, but Gravenberg tries to backheel the recovery. Now here's Johan Wieser looking to spin away. Lovely footwork. Escapes Szoboszlai. Needs support around him. Has it in Joe Willock. Willock. Kind bounce to the ball. Willock finishes it off. Joe Willock, fresh off the bench, to restore Newcastle's lead. It's all about Johan Wieser though. Wriggles away from pressure on the centre circle. Attracts 5 defenders across. There's a bit of fortune as it bounces off Frimpong back into the path of Joe Willock. He's almost off balance as he hits it, Willock. Brilliant though. Once again, it's a counter-attack launched by Johan Wieser and finished off by Joe Willock. I've done him a disservice as well. Said there was a bit of fortune as it bounced away from Frimpong. It's just really neat footwork from Joe Willock. It's in off the inside of the post. It's Newcastle 2, Liverpool 1. Willock's only been on for a minute. It looks like he's almost caught under his feet as he manages to dig it out, get the curl. Ngumoa's run straight into Lewis Hall. Newcastle with their tails up. Hall to his left. That one's tracked down by Rio Ngumoa. He's been fouled. Free kick taken quickly by Szoboszlai. What a game we've got on our hands this afternoon. Moving into the early evening in Tyneside. Florian Wirtz looks just a bit through to Cody Gakpo. Sliding in is Amar Dedic. Has looked neat and tidy on his debut. Ramsey. Well, there were 2 minutes and 55 seconds between Gakpo's equaliser And Joe Willock re-establishing Newcastle's lead. Here's Viert to the left-hand side. It's Cody Gakpo taking his time, tiptoeing his way into the penalty area. Bounces away off Dedic. Here's Milos Kerkez, left-hand side, lofted it towards the back post. Hooked away by Jacob Ramsey. Gakpo again in that familiar position inside left. It's curled towards goal. I say towards, it's actually over the crossbar and into the stand behind. Lucas Hornicek's goal. Reinforcements being readied by Anthony Iraola. Alexis McAllister is one. Well, they do love this football club in these parts. A one-club city. Everyone around here is a Newcastle United supporter. As Kevin Keegan put it, it's not just a football club in these parts, it is oxygen, it is life, it is meaning. Johan Wiese looks frustrated. He felt that came off of Jeremy Frimpong's hand before the foul. Here's Szoboszlai. That's from Ramsey. Elanga. Barnes. Elanga puts it into a really good area. Johan Wiese just hung back near the penalty spot. Kerkez collects in the left-back position. It was a threatening move from Newcastle that came to nothing. Gakpo. Inching its way forward. Now Viert. For Kerkez. Inside to Gravenberg. Viert. Gakpo. Liverpool lose it. Here's Elanga. Miley. Can't get it past Virgil van Dijk. Elanga was well placed. Wiese racing towards Alisson. Alisson to Frimpong. Invites the challenge from Harvey Barnes. Or pin Liverpool back in their defensive third. It will be a throw-in. They really appreciated the pressure applied by Harvey Barnes with the Newcastle supporters. Here come the changes. Rio and Gamoa's going to go off. So often one of Liverpool's most exciting players today. He's been on the periphery. Stuart Atwell has reminded him he needs to get off quickly. He has 10 seconds to depart the field, otherwise Liverpool will have to play for a minute with just 10. Off goes Gamoa and Florian Wirtz, and on comes Alexis McAllister, and it's a top-flight debut as well for Victor Munoz. A £17.1 million signing from Osasuna. He's electric, Munoz. Recruited this summer. He was almost a Newcastle United player, apparently. The pen was hovering above the contract before it was just taken out from underneath Newcastle noses by Liverpool, enticed by the prospect of European football at the highest level. Well, it's another game that almost bypassed Florian Wirtz after the departure of Mohamed Salah. The creative responsibility in Liverpool's attack has pretty much shifted squarely to him. I spent a lot of money on him. It's his 50th appearance today. It's a yellow card for Jacob Ramsey. Alexis McAllister is making the point to Stuart Atwell. They burst forward into the penalty area. I'll talk you through the move. It was Frimpong forward. It was a lovely touch from Isak, who was caught by Ramsey sliding in. The whistle goes. Was it Victor Munoz? It was who went down. And his ankle's clipped, seemingly at least, by Lewis Hall. Oh, that'll be one to look back on. The scoreline, the predicted destination of the points thus far remains the same. Misha Boslai all the way towards the back post. Van Dijk just stabs it towards goal. It's into the arms of Lucas Hornacek. It'll be interesting to have another look at that penalty shout from the Liverpool players. That's the point they were trying to make to Stuart Atwell. And Jacob Ramsey can feel both lucky and unlucky to have received that yellow card. Unlucky that it didn't really seem a foul in the first place, but lucky that the referee pulled it back and Liverpool had a free kick rather than a penalty. Tedic can't put it back. Here's Gakpo streaking away from Chow. Gakpo bearing down on goal. Gakpo tried to shift it onto his right. That allowed Chow to get back, poke it free. Newcastle preserve their 1-goal lead. You could see Gakpo wasn't really even thinking about playing it square to Alexander Isak. Here's the ball on the right-hand side. Victor Munoz running at Lewis Hall. Bounces off the Newcastle number 3. Back to Munoz, who is forced wide to the right-hand side. Tries to sort his feet out. Looks to go around the outside of Hall. In towards the near post. There's in towards the penalty spot. Isak couldn't really make a clean contact to the ball. And now here's Johan Wieser. Alarm bells ringing in the Newcastle defence every time he drives forward. It's Elanga on the right-hand side. Has both Kerkez and Van Dijk in his way. Elanga inside. Ramsey square, 10 yards to his left. Here is Barnes. Ramsey. Willock. Willock back to Jacob Ramsey. Ramsey to Hall. Hall for Miley. Miley down the outside. Lewis Hall toward the near post. Wieser tried to help it across the face of goal. So close to reaching Harvey Barnes. Here's Elanga, tries to recycle it, laid off. Amar Dedic. Elanga again. Miley, intricate. Elanga. Allison, I'm not sure, was expecting the shot. Collapses on it, no doubt, down to his right. So close to a third for Newcastle there. Johan Wieser made the run to the near post. It looks like he almost withdraws his foot, you know. Harvey Barnes wasn't too far away either. Gravenberg. Munoz. Gravenberg. Isak. Tries to wriggle free. Will find Frimpong. Ball back to Munoz. Alexis McAllister. Victor Munoz. High into the penalty area, flicks backwards off Thiaw. Gakpo tees up Isak. That's over the crossbar, and St James's Park enjoyed that. Well, some of the local journalists and members of the media at half-time, the line was, you wouldn't know Alexander Isak is playing today if Newcastle United fans weren't booing. Well, they were cheering that. It was skied over the crossbar, as it was always leaning back. They've waited for this moment, the Newcastle supporters, and so far they have been relishing Alexander Isak's return to St James's Park. It's Anthony Elanga. Elanga. Willock. Corner for Newcastle. Got the change. for Liverpool. Anthony Iraola is going to take Jeremy Jacquet out of the firing line. He's had a tough day. It's Ronald Araujo who will sprint on to take his place alongside Virgil van Dijk in the heart of defence. Tedic. Lovely footwork from Willock. Willock across the face of goal, punched away, beaten away by Alisson on the follow-up. It was Ramsey from the edge of the penalty area on the volley with his left, wide of Alisson's left hand upright. Goal kick the result, but every single time Newcastle go forward, Liverpool are having kittens. It's a long clearance. Miley, little flick of the boot, the heel at it by Joe Willock. He's been dumped on the turf by Alexis McAllister. Virgil van Dijk comes to lift him up. Joe Willock says absolutely not. He felt he was fouled there. It's gone as a foul against Joe Willock. Here's Araujo into midfield for Gravenberg. Frimpong. Araujo. Alisson. Van Dijk to Ronald Araujo. Floated out towards the left-hand side. It's too high for Milos Kerkez. Anthony Iraola telling his players he wants the ball moved quicker. Liverpool thought they had the throw in. It's going to be a Newcastle throw instead. In by Tedic, Visa laid off, lovely ball. Finds Ramsey, across to Lewis Hall. There's a lot of space to drive into in front of him. First comes Victor Munoz. Ramsey. Links up with Barnes, lovely. Hall tries to find Willock. Hall is there, challenging with Gravenberg. Willock pokes it free, but it'll run through to Victor Munoz as Frimpong streaking forward alongside him. Munoz steps in field though. He keeps going here, Victor Munoz. Szoboszlai upended just outside the penalty area, advantage for Liverpool. Across the face of goal by Kerkez, inches away from Alexander Isak's forehead. Here was Victor Munoz again, driving right at the heart of Newcastle United. Amar Dedic it is caught out of position. Lewis Miley drops into the fullback position, can't get close enough to Kerkez to prevent the cross. Flashed across the 6-yard box. And Isak almost caught on his heels. Long down the left-hand side, Frimpong. Chests it down. Now Gravenberg. Szoboszlai just outside the penalty area. Little step over. Can he open up the angle? Feeds it towards the feet of Gravenberg through the legs of Jacob Ramsey. He can't catch up with it. The clearance will drop to Alisson midway through his own half of the pitch. Newcastle are starting to retreat with straight over 16 minutes of the 90 remaining. Forward by Araujo to McAllister. Szoboszlai. McAllister. Van Dijk. Araujo. Frimpong. Gravenberg. Frimpong. Back to Alisson. Visa thought he had a sniff of catching up with that one. Alisson who gets there first. Araujo. Munoz. Jeremy Frimpong. Gravenberg. Munoz. Munoz pokes it through. He was looking to find Jeremy Frimpong. Only finds Space behind Lukas Hornicek's goal. It's a goal kick. Jacob Murphy is getting ready to continue. There's Visa. He's had his heels clipped by Dominik Szoboszlai. It's a Newcastle United free kick, slightly right of centre, 6 yards away from the penalty area. It's clever from Visa, just ran across Szoboszlai's path, hoping for the contact. Szoboszlai obliged. There's going to be 2 changes here, in fact, for Newcastle. Off goes Anthony Elanga to be replaced by Jacob Murphy. That'll be a straight swap on the right-hand side. And Lewis Smiley as well. Still just 20 years old, you have to remember, will go off. And on comes the new man, the £30.4 million signing from Monaco in the summer. The 20-year-old Frenchman, Aladji Bamba. Ball away by Kerkez on the edge of the penalty area. Off goes the first goal scorer, Anthony Elanga. Large smile from Lewis Smiley as he departed as well. Number a defensive midfielder. He will work hard in the middle of the park. It was flicked on by Sven Botman, who stayed forward. Bounced off of Visa into the arms of Alisson. May have been a handball anyway by Johan Visa. To Virgil van Dijk. Across to Ronald Araujo, Uruguayan defender. Araujo to Gravenberg. Araujo. Frimpong. Forward by Frimpong. Gakpo. Gravenberg. Frimpong. Hall comes to meet him. Gets in the way. Frimpong didn't give up on that. It bounced down to Victor Munoz, who lashed that at Sven Botman. And it's away by Thiaw. Out of play for a throw in on the far side for Liverpool. 13 minutes remaining. Be a change here for Liverpool now. Ryan Gravenberg will trudge off. And it's Luis Kumas who jogs on for his top-flight debut. Featured a few years back in the Cup against Southampton. Goal that day in a 3-0 win in February 2024. Helped Birmingham City last season in their promotion push. 23 appearances, just the 1 goal, that coming in January versus the eventual champions Coventry. Spent 6 months on loan with Birmingham before making the switch to Hull. Liverpool will face in the coming weeks. Jacob Murphy, is it? He's been shown a yellow card. It's going to be a Liverpool free kick. It's a long way from goal, but that won't put off Dominik Szoboszlai. 4 in the wall. Szoboszlai staring down Lukas Hornacek. It's off the top of the wall. Hornacek thought about coming to catch it. Instead, it's straight up in the air by Murphy. Is that a foul by McAllister? It's not. It's an effort from range and then lifted back in there over the crossbar by Luis Kumas. They're going to pull it back for the early foul by Victor Munoz on Harvey Barnes. Harold Araujo, excuse me. Just runs into the back of Barnes. Hornacek clever. He wandered 6 yards out of his penalty area. He knew exactly what had happened there, Lukas Hornacek. Eases a little bit of time out of the game as he spots it up in the right position now, just inside the penalty area towards the left-hand side. It's a long ball down the middle. Araujo with a towering header. Picked up here by Ramsey. Can't keep possession. Isak can't either though, as there's Bamba to tuck it back to Thiaw. Thiaw for Hornacek. First time clearance over the top and Wiese will sprint after it. Araujo with his arm up, appealing for offside. Johan Wiese looks dumbfounded. Just on this near side, quick to make the decision. Allison. Araujo. On the left-hand side, and that's a pass that's overhit by Cody Gakpo. Some nervous faces high in the away end at St James's Park. A side of less than 10 minutes to recover some kind of result in this game. Liverpool came into it facing an unprecedented statistical quirk to begin this season. First 6 league games will all come against newly appointed opposition managers. Following today's clash with Matthias Jaissle, Liverpool will face Alvaro Arbeloa's Fulham, Marco Rose's Bournemouth, Enzo Maresca's Man City, Gary O'Neill's Ipswich, and Oliver Glasner's Nottingham Forest. Munoz. It's difficult to know exactly how they will set their sides up against Liverpool. I'm sure a few of them will try and follow Newcastle United's blueprint today. Greatest ever goal scorer is in attendance today. Alan Shearer watching on, and he'll be desperate for the side he grew up supporting to pick up all 3 points. Araujo on the edge of the centre circle. Szoboszlai, Kerkez, Gakpo. Well, last time Newcastle beat Liverpool, it needs no reminding of for Newcastle support. It was back on the 16th of March 2025. Newcastle 2-1 winners at Wembley Stadium to lift silverware for the first time in a generation. We have to go back to 2015 though, the last time that Newcastle beat Liverpool in the league. Lifted in by Frimpong, Isak rises, that's a simple one for Hornacek. It's that day right here on the 6th of December. Saw an own goal from Martin Skirtle, followed up by a goal from Jorginho Wijnaldum, who would go on to play for the Reds, as Newcastle sealed a 2-0 win that day. At the time they were sat in 18th in the top flight. Jurgen Klopp was in the dugout. Steve McLaren, Newcastle United's boss. But these are a few names: Chancellor Mbemba, Daryl Janmaat, Riccio Colacino captained Newcastle that day. So that's clipped over the top, and the flag stays down on Johan Visa. Maybe he could increase Newcastle's lead. It's against the legs of Alisson. Away to the edge of the penalty area. Munoz can't beat Botman. He'll collect the ball again on the right-hand side. Pulled back to the edge of the penalty area. Kumash with the layoff. Here's McAllister. Szoboszlai. Now Kerkez. Frimpong. Szoboszlai. Van Dijk to the left. Gakpo in the middle, rolls his foot over it, curls it to the back post. Is that a shove from Victor Munoz? Maybe a goal kick. This will help back to his feet by Lukas Hornicek and Sven Botman. Everyone with their eyes fixed on the clock now. Matthias Eisler has taken a seat in his dugout for one of the first times this afternoon. Irish side about to give him the ultimate opening to his English top flight debut. Kerkez, Gakpo. It's unfortunate for Newcastle, bounced away off of Jacob Murphy. Kumash over Kerkez. And Madik Chow gets his body across and guides that behind for a goal kick. A little word as well for Milos Kerkez, if I'm not mistaken. Last year, Liverpool scored 13 goals beyond the 85th minute, more than anybody else in the league. Newcastle conceded 11 in that same time frame. That was 18th of 20. We're in that territory now. Bamba beaten to it by Kumash. Kumash accelerating down the right-hand side. Bamba trying to catch up with him. Here's Frimpong. Now Hall steps across to win it back for Newcastle. Inside to Botman. Into the centre circle, chested down by Van Dijk to Araujo. Araujo for Szoboszlai. Ran out of space. Here's Ramsey to Willock. Being followed by Frimpong. Willock inside. Finds Harvey Barnes. Barnes across to the right. Jacob Murphy tries to dart past Kerkez. Murphy low across the 6-yard box. No one reacted. Brilliant from Jacob Murphy. Joe Willock watches that trundle across the 6-yard box. Just needed a touch from someone, anyone, and Newcastle would have sealed all 3 points. Here's Botman. That's a brilliant tackle from Bamba with Botman out of position. This with Dedic. Chow. Hornicek long. Van Dijk. Wieser's been upended. Here's Joe Willock with the free run at Ronald Araujo. Willock, edge of the penalty area. Araujo with a challenge. Here's Harvey Barnes. It's against Araujo's back. Wieser back on his feet on the edge of the penalty area. Takes a touch off Virgil van Dijk. That'll be a throw-in for Newcastle United. Johan Wieser turns to the supporters and bellows. Stuart Atwell's got word from the video assistant referee that they need to pause the game. It's James Bell in Stockley Park watching all the screens. There's a yellow card in there somewhere. Stuart Atwell's brandished it in someone's direction. We've been with 5 minutes added time. It's been shown to Virgil van Dijk. By Murphy, away by Van Dijk. Here's Kumash. It's now Liverpool trying to counter. Kumash inside left on the edge of the box, and a brilliant recovery run by Amar Dedic gets in the way of the effort. That goes behind for the Liverpool corner. 1 minute of added time gone, at least 4 to play. Szoboszlai lurking over the set piece yet again. This first half started with a chance for Liverpool. Second half started with a chance for Liverpool from this sort of position. Szoboszlai punched away by Hornacek. Frimpong 30 yards from goal, right of centre. Onto his left, Frimpong drives it low into the penalty area. Won't beat Jacob Murphy. Here goes Murphy trying to burst away with it on the left-hand side. It's a Liverpool throw-in. In by Frimpong. Across by Araujo. Van Dijk staying forward as an auxiliary centre forward now. Szoboszlai down the left-hand side. It's Cody Gakpo. Gakpo onto his right. Szoboszlai. Gakpo. Towards the back post, away by Botman. Araujo backwards, finds Kerkez. Szoboszlai. Left-hand side is Gakpo. Gakpo trying to isolate Dedic. That's very clever from Amar Dedic. Got his body across. Gakpo wrestled into the ground. And that'll be a free kick. Much to Cody Gakpo's frustration, visibly so. One hand on the shoulder, Dedic felt the contact, went to ground, and Stuart Atwell could only make one decision at that point. Antonio Iraola, nervous sip of water. Not the way he wanted the season to start in the dugout. Still just about enough time to rescue something, some pride, a point. Hornacek's been booked for taking too long with the free kick. It's over the head of the defenders, straight to Alisson, back with Liverpool. Here is Dominic Szoboszlai from deep, waving Kerkez forward. Araujo. Frimpong. Araujo. Szoboszlai. Kerkez. Gakpo. Murphy across. Gakpo clipped it in there. Bamba is in the way. Drops to Araujo. Wide to Jeremy Frimpong. Barnes trying to keep him at bay. Can he stop the cross? Frimpong onto his left. Now back onto his right as he drifts into the penalty area. Barnes got a toe to it. Frimpong in a tangle with Harvey Barnes. Free kick goes Harvey Barnes' way. Jeremy Frimpong wags his finger at Stuart Atwell. Does not agree with the referee's assessment. The clock ticks to 94. Newcastle are going to make a change. It'll be quite the noise on Tyneside. The number 9 goes up. Johan Wieser No one really cares what I think, but he's been the man of the match for my money. He'll chuck off to be replaced by an additional defender, Fabian Schär. Comes sprinting on. That bench is ready to erupt. Hornicek with the clearance. Alisson. Gudges to launch one final assault. Looking for Isak and Van Dijk. Away by Chow. Munoz, Hall with a challenge. Liverpool wants a penalty. Stuart Atwell thinks about it, points to the penalty spot. Surely the last kick of the game. Victor Munoz gives Liverpool a lifeline. Lewis Hall can't believe it. He's pleading with Stuart Atwell. There is contact. Hall makes one little step to his left, plants his left foot. Victor Munoz runs into it. It's knee-to-knee contact. From a distance, it looked clear as day. The replays make it clear as mud. And the Newcastle bench are adamant this should not be a penalty. It's going to be a really tough one for the VAR James Bell. In the final moment, surely, of what was just about to be Newcastle's first league win against Liverpool since 2015. There are some tempers as well. Cody Gakpo handed it over to Dominic Szoboszlai. They've looked at it, it's not going to be overturned. Newcastle fans will feel very aggrieved. It's tough to make the case for Lewis Hall, but you can totally understand where that case would come from. It is Dominic Szoboszlai versus Lukas Hornicek with what will be the final kick of the game. Szoboszlai, poise, patient, staring intently at the ball. Hornicek with his arms spread, rocking from one foot to the other. Szoboszlai into the top corner. Dominic Szoboszlai runs away. Celebrates in front of the Newcastle supporters. He makes that same gesture we saw from Enzo Fernandez at the World Cup. Not sure that's necessary, Dominic Szoboszlai. But it's two apiece with what is surely the final kick of the game. Matthias Geisler can't believe it. Once again they've done it. Liverpool at the last to rescue a point. Lewis Hall wants the ground to eat him up. It's a brilliant penalty from Dominic Szoboszlai. Gives Hornicek absolutely no chance. But the debate will rage Lewis Hall collapses on his haunches. Shares a handshake with Victor Munoz, the man who went down under his challenge to give Liverpool that penalty late on. The referee's blown for full time. A heroic performance from Newcastle United. The game lit up by Yohan Wissa, Anthony Elanga after 5 minutes, Joe Willock after 57. Cody Gakpo gave Liverpool life 10 minutes into the second half with a brilliant effort from a long way out. Matthias Geisler has made a beeline to the referee to make his point. Stuart Atwell listening intently, being very polite, I have to say. Newcastle's new boss. It's a feeling he's going to have to get used to, Matthias Geisler. Newcastle will say that Victor Munoz initiated the contact. You can see it going either way, as the points have today. One thing is certain though, Liverpool, far from the finished article. They have problems to rectify. And Newcastle, well, it might just spring a surprise this season. Yohan Wissa, now the big man. The star turn in a side that has lost so many of their stars. And he showed it today with a man of the match display. A brilliant game, one that will go down alongside a number in the annals of history in this quite remarkable fixture, which we see time and time again in the English top flight. This one, the spoils are shared, and it's finished. Newcastle 2, Liverpool 2.